My name's Sophie, in case you can't read the name badge, and I am an OR60 staff member. So I work at the office based in Birmingham, and I am the education officer. If you've been involved with the society for a while, you may have known Louise, who was a while ago. She did this role previously, and more recently Charlie. So depending who you know will depend what you think of the role. Otherwise, I'm Sophie, and I'm the new Sophie. Title of the talk, everything you want to know about OR in schools, okay? So it's going to hopefully be a bit of an interactive session. I'm going to ask you questions, your opportunity to ask me some. If at any point you have a question or query or anything, please do just shout. You don't need to save it until the end or anything like that. I'm pretty informal the way I run my sessions. I'm going to cover three main things today. The first is the background and the aims of the OR in Schools programme. I'm going to touch on a little bit of what a volunteer would do, and then why you would volunteer. First question first. Have any of you guys heard of OR in Schools? Yes, no. Okay, cool. So a little bit of a mix. Have any of you volunteered for OR in Schools before? No. Okay, cool. So this is useful to me to kind of know where to pitch it. Hopefully you're all aware who the OR Society are and who we are, but the OR in Schools in particular, we are a task force, and it's a programme that was set up about 10 years ago to target the lack of awareness of OR in young people. So they did a review, and about 10 years ago they realised lots and lots of people didn't know what OR was. And actually they felt that was really important, and one of the society's aims was to encourage younger people and the future generation into the pipeline and ensure they knew what it was. So that's where it started. They created a Learn About OR website, so that had information about what OR is, where it's used, how it works, and they had a very ambitious goal. Every student should know what OR is. Very ambitious means I guess I'm in my job for a while, but it also means we've got a huge remit in terms of how we get out there and encourage students. And you notice the word student rather than child or anything like that. So the goal for student is right from kind of primary age all the way through secondary, all the way through college, and all the way through university. So huge remit, but lots of fun, I'm sure you'll agree. So, like I said, it started with a website, so Learn About OR, and this was a website that was created, like I said, to give them all the information they needed. It's got some short films on, it's got some information about where OR is used in different industries, and it's got some teaching resources. So one of the, I'll come on to it later, but one of the requests we get a lot is for workshops. So we've developed materials to support volunteers going in and doing that. So continue to develop. No longer do we just have a website. We have a website, and we have lots of collaboration with lots of different partners. We have got very strong contacts with other mathematical organisations. So I sit on the JMC, which is the Joint Mathematics Council. So there's lots and lots of other professional maths bodies, professional numeracy bodies, there's heads of maths departments and all sorts. So we're involved in kind of the wider policy and education and remit of maths as a whole as well, which really helps. And we develop links and go to teacher conferences and events. So we try and target it at lots of different levels to kind of cover all the ground. Now, hopefully this will be obvious, but in case it isn't, why do we do this? And why do we go out and target students? Really because we believe it's a great career for young people, people that enjoy problem solving, and they've got those numerate skills, and they want to do maths or something similar, but don't know where it can take them. Operational research is a really great career, and we hear so many times from either older people or from teachers, or people that are just finishing, that they wish they knew about it earlier. I did a maths degree and I heard about it in my final year when I'd already got a job. So it's trying to encourage people so they're aware about it at a younger age, so they can make a more informed decision whether they want to do it or not. So I want to talk next thing about what a volunteer would do. Before that, do you guys have any questions about the backgrounds and the aims of it or anything like that?
Would it not be a good idea for people who are actually teaching the maths in schools to also know about OR, you know, even if they're not members of the society and stuff, because a lot of young people think if you do maths, your career would be like teaching maths.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right, and that is part of a stream that we go down, absolutely. So we attend 4 or 5 annual conferences every year that are teacher conferences. So one is the MEI teacher, so Mathematic of Education Industry or something, the ATM, Association of Teachers Mathematics, and a couple of others. And so they are all specialist events held for maths teachers, and we go along as exhibitors, and I run a session at the events. So a bit like today, but it's generally an hour long. We educate the teachers on what operational research is, why it's a great career, and the resources we have available to them. So yeah, we do definitely try and aim at the teachers as well. The idea is if we cover kind of all the bases, hopefully we'll get some ground. But yeah, really good point on that. So volunteer-wise, do any of you volunteer? Yes, generally yes.
Yeah.
Yes?
That's what I said too.
Anything?
Yeah, I do social mobility funds.
Fab.
Even mental.
So why do you volunteer?
Well, a friend of mine organised the social mobility funds coming into their piece of work. And asked me if I wanted to go along, because I thought it would be a good idea.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to help.
Good. Want to give something back or?
Yeah.
Fab.
So for me, sometimes I've volunteered to do some presentations at universities or help with students and all that. And the same with my daughter's school. They've asked me whether I will be able to go and just explain what I do. And what you're about to suggest, I think that's what I want to understand, so that I can have some material that would consistently allow us to do that. But yeah, it's to pass something back to the society. That's the main objective.
Yeah. Excellent.
So I don't currently, but I would.
And why would you?
Well, probably because I didn't know about OR till I was originally in a uni, and then I think I probably wouldn't have wasted that year because I did a year doing straight maths that I didn't enjoy, and then I just thought if I knew about it earlier, when in school I was doing decision maths, if my teacher had said, oh, if you like this type of maths, so it's more to get people into it.
Get people engaged.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting point that because the A-levels now changed. Decision or discrete, which is a lot of operational research, isn't taught as pure, isn't taught compulsory in the pure maths. It is an optional extra in further maths though. And there's a organisation, the AMSP, Advanced Maths Support Programme, that run free training that are basically supported by the government to help teachers teach those topics. And we've developed very good links with them, and we now sit in on their training days, and we give leaflets out at the end, and we do a session halfway through and say, we're the OR Society, a lot of what you're doing is operational research. It's not called that, but it is, and we're here to help and things like that. Yeah, it's really important.
So is this not very algorithmic, the kind of decision maths which is taught optionally at school, Is it sort of just algorithms, or does it talk about applications of OR, of decision maths? Yeah,
it does. There is a huge mix, and a lot of it is, like you say, that real application of it. It used to go down really well with students. I think from an exam board perspective, there wasn't a lot of differentiation between grades. I think generally across the board with decisions people seem to do quite well, and for the exam boards that wasn't a good thing because they couldn't necessarily differentiate between stronger or weaker candidates. So they were kind of keen to get it out. Although we did fight for it.
But for instance, if you're teaching a short star algorithm or the transportation problem, you can just teach that sort of mathematically and it's still quite dry. But would they say, well, this is what your sat-nav does, uses this, or British Airways use mathematics to schedule planes? Because that then do they do that now with decision matters?
It depends on the and it depends on the teacher. So at A level, they have a set curricula they need to follow, and as long as they tick it off, they don't necessarily need to go into detail and explain the real life applications of X, Y, Z in certain situations. However, a lot of teachers realise the importance of bringing in that real life application. And that's why we go along some of the training days to give them those examples. And especially like our impact magazines, we've got impact magazines which give some great case studies of where maths is being used in the real world. And those are things we distribute and say. We've got lots of examples here for you to
So the obligatory content doesn't include applications, but of course if you're a teacher, it helps you to teach it if you can quote the applications which we tell them about.
That's my understanding.
Another example that I use when we go to see students, to take on as apprentices, because with us setup we take a lot of apprentices, because we've done a lot of simulation in our kind of group. When I speak to, especially boys, I just say, your PlayStation, as effectively what's behind that game that you're playing every day, it's maths, it's simulation. So it's how you take that real life and just relate it back to the individual. And then, it's a lot of maths behind that computer screen that appear.
I had a sister who's quite new at Chester, and then she said she struggled to explain to her friends what her brother did,
My wife does.
Yeah, and then I did a project at a cider factory in Shepton Mallet, and she said that was great because then I could tell my friends he helps this cider factory schedule a cider canning line. And all the friends could relate to that, and they could see there's a bit of maths there. So it's those kind of motivating applications which, you have to get away from the dry
That's our website's a good thing because it's got the videos.
that's right.
Yeah. Anyone else should say, I'm looking at our website,
And the videos are great. They're 2-3 minute clips in 6 different areas. You've got one that's based in sport, one that's based in government, one that's based in education, one that's based in transport and logistics. And so those bring, like you say, kind of bring it to life almost. Absolutely. So kind of touched on why what kind of volunteers do generally, but what would you do for us and what would you do at the Society? So we do lots and lots of different things to lots of different people. But in a nutshell, we work with schools, colleges and universities. So with schools, we work with the top end of primary, so year 5 or 6. We work throughout them with secondary, so year 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We work through them with college, so AS and A level. And we do some work at universities as well in terms of giving career talks. Now, obviously, those students are going to be different ages at different schools, and what is suitable for one age group isn't suitable for the other. So as a result, we've got a couple of different offerings. So we run OR workshops. So these are workshops based on OR techniques, but simplified for student use. It's a bit like you were saying, real-life applications. They are a real-life example that we've simplified for the students and made into a game. And they're generally an hour to an hour and a half. And we've got about 10 resources, and they're different for different age groups. So one we do quite a lot is using Lego. And it's based on the idea of a Swedish furniture company that wants to make the most profit. So you give kids a load of Lego and you're looking at building the maximum number of tables. Then you start saying, well, actually, can you make chairs as well because they're more profitable? And actually, given that you've only got a number of blocks, what's the best way to make it? And then you start introducing algebra, and it turns out it's linear programming and it's optimization, and boom, there's a formula for working out the maximum number of chairs and the maximum number of tables, given that you've only got limited constraints of resources. But to begin with, obviously, they don't know any of that, and they go, it's Lego, it's great. So there's lots of workshops like that we do that work really well with schools in particular. We also give career talks, so this is more so kind of at college or at university. If you've got some engaged students at a local college, or maybe year 10, year 11, so higher secondary school, who are thinking about career options and want to know about what options there are in maths, we can go in and give a talk. So that ranges from anywhere from kind of 10 minutes in a careers assembly, which we've had volunteers do, right through to an hour talking in a university lecture slot. So talking about what OR is, what you do, maybe to first year undergraduates. So again, there's lots of different scope there depending on what age group volunteers want to work with. We then attend career fairs, so lots of universities have them. I know I went to loads when I was at uni, and there's lots and lots of different exhibitors, and you wander around and try and get as many pens as possible. But no, those are the opportunities for somebody that's interested in OR to come chat to us. So we have a stand with a tablecloth banner, things like that, and it's a more informal opportunity for somebody to come chat. They can ask questions, it's a more relaxed environment, it's kind of people coming, people going, so much less formal than a stand up in front of a bunch of people and talk. So that's a really, really nice one. We get a lot of requests for that all over the country. We're always after volunteers for that. What I would say, with all of these, and I'll come on to it later, but with all of these events, we will provide you with all the resources you need. So we have tablecloths, banners, flyers, we have leaflets, we have PowerPoint templates. For the workshops, we've got teacher notes, student answer sheets, worksheets, the actual board games, the Lego, everything like that. And we will send all of them out to you free of charge. We do need the Lego back though. And I do always tell volunteers and the students that. And they can keep the pens, but not the Lego. So those are just a couple of the things that we get involved with.
You know, for the career fairs?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of students are going there because they're looking for an actual company they want to work with rather than career, like a sector.
Yeah.
How do you get past that? Like, we work at Southfield, so I would naturally probably gravitate towards that, do you know what I mean, rather than talking about applications that I have that knowledge on.
It's a really good question. So we partner a lot with other organisations. So GORS, Government Operational Research Service, we partner quite a bit with them. And what we do, we have an OR Society stand. So we will pay for a stand and an exhibitor pitch. We will provide you with tablecloth, banner, leaflets and things like that. And somebody from GORS will go along or whatever, and we ask them to wear 2 hats. We ask them to wear an OR hat. So this is what operational research is, this is how I got into it, this is my background, all those kinds of things. And then a kind of employer hat. So I work for Sellafield. They are a great company because XYZ. The people are really nice or whatever. And as part of that, we also say you're welcome, space permitting, to bring up a banner, so one of the pop-up banners, and a leaflet. We realise that as a society, students are there wanting a job. It works in our interest if we've got people there that can say, I'm an operational researcher and I work for XYZ, and give them that lead, and that's really important. We have done a lot where it's just the OR Society and myself, and people always say, where do I work? There's a whole host of things and a whole host of places, but it's much better if somebody can say, I work for XYZ. So a lot of our careers fair, we might have 2 or 3 individuals. I know we've got a couple coming up where we've got somebody from GORS, we've got somebody from a university promoting a master's scheme, we've got somebody working for, I think, Decision Lab, lots of kind of different companies that say, you know what, I'll send somebody there because it's in our interest. We can stand there with leaflets and talk to people, but generally it's giving back as well. There's that corporate element as well. So I'll touch on this. Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. And so what we do quite a bit with GORS is they can take their leaflet, but they don't have a huge marketing budget or anything like that, whereas we've got all the hearings, pens, leaflets, information like that, everything like that. So they just take a kind of A5 recruitment information piece along, and they wear their kind of 2 hats, and when someone says, I'd love to apply, they go, here's the leaflet for it.
Is there a page on the OR60 website where people like that can go and have a look at job opportunities, or links through to GORS, links through to British Airways, something like that?
There is an
or even ads from recruitment agencies, you know?
Yeah, so we do have a jobs page on the OR Society. It's not aimed at graduates and young people. That's predominantly our careers open day every year that we hold. And that's kind of the main thing for that.
So my students are going curious over the days. We actually provided a minibus for ones. Like 2 people worked, you know. So in one sense, for me, it's good if I can say, belong to the OR Society as an undergraduate student, look at the inside OR, there's prospect recruitment, or they shut down now, have they? There's data tech recruitment, you know. So these recruitment agencies are places where I try to say to my people, go and have a look at the jobs on these. I think data tech is still active, but prospect is closed now. Prospect is
they're not really grad roles.
What, sorry?
They're not really grad roles, though.
Some of them are. Oh, okay, some of them mean with a couple of years of work experience, yeah. But otherwise, what do? You point them to British Airways, you point them to Gauze. Where are the kind of websites with the graduate openings?
Well, they're all called different things as well, aren't they? So you might be.
Well, that's the other thing I
for
say.
data science
Anything which
as
says
well.
business modelling,
Yeah.
analytics, look at that.
Do we have in the operational research website all the companies that
Have a department.
have a
Yeah,
department?
Yes.
that would be great.
Yeah. So I will come onto the website shortly. So bear with me. In the interest of time, I'm just going to kind of whiz through. But so those are the kind of things we do. And time-wise, it's very, very flexible. So we ask for an hour as a minimum. And a lot of the careers fair are 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So they're during the day. But you do get lunch provided. It is always a very nice lunch. It's very flexible, it's designed. We know you guys are experts in what you do and you're professionals, so we take a lot of the hard work out of it, and I do especially a lot of setting up visits and arranging things and organising events. So you literally, I give you all the information. You say, I want to visit a primary school, I don't know, in Scotland or whatever, as we had recently, and I said, okay, I'll pair you up with the school and we'll sort out all the logistics and things like that. So none of that you guys have to do, and so it is literally just a case of kind of turning up generally for the event, whether that's a career.
So I'm used to us responding to requests from you, but what you're saying is we can say that they're near these local schools. Can you ring them up and offer me to go to a talk? Is that the way around?
Because we have a lot of schools coming in, so I have both. Obviously, I have a pool of volunteers and I have a pool of schools, and we're always getting requests in from schools.
You can also
So it's-
request if you want to go to service.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that, Sophie. That sounds very good.
You learn something new every day.
Hope that they go, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I could ask you to ring up a couple of schools in my area, or and say, look, we've got something in our society we'll talk about. Are you interested? Is that what you?
We could, so basically the way it works is if we have a volunteer that says, I would love to do a visit in, I don't know, Edinburgh or Lancaster or wherever, we then look at the schools and say, okay, do we have any requests in Lancaster that we can pair them up with? If not, and they said, you know what, I really want to do something on this day, then we can look into it. It depends on the event and it depends on the location. So something like that, we're more than happy for you to arrange it all if you wanted, and we would just give you all the resources and all the support.
Is that what you've done? You've contacted local schools?
Well, now I've just got a school letter home this week that says we need parents to come in and talk about their careers.
Yeah.
So when I came in today, I thought, I'll ask about it.
Yeah.
Okay, and you respond to request.
Yeah.
So on that note, I will just, so like I said with resources, we'll provide you with everything. So literally everything you need, and they're really off-the-shelf materials that you can pick up and run with at any point, right from kind of the PowerPoint templates. I do just want to show you this. So on the OR Society website, if you type in www.theorsociety.com/ORIS volunteers, and that is ORIS volunteers. I think it's, I don't know, I can't show you. Oh, there you go. ORIS volunteers, so OR in schools, and it brings up technology bearing. This page. So there's a whole page about what OR in schools is, a page for teachers. So if a teacher comes on here and says, what's this about? They can click the teachers page and it tells them, well, loads of information, what we do, why we do it, how we do it, all those kinds of things. There's a page for lecturers and there's a page for volunteers. So there's lots of information on feedback form, volunteers form, expenses, presentation template, lots and lots of information, resources and material. The presentation template in particular is really good. You just click it and download it. Loads and loads of slides. I'll show you actually. And you can delete or add them as you see fit. So it's a PowerPoint slide, and literally it aims to cover what operational research is, how it's used. There's links, there's definitions, there's links to OR, the history of OR. There's a practical exercise you can have a go. There's a slide where you can put your own notes in. So this is really a template for you guys to use as you see fit. So I realise I am almost at my time limit, so I will finish up and make it quick because I'm sure we're all excited about the gala dinner tonight. But we obviously discussed about briefly why we do it earlier. There's loads and loads of support available to you, and actually last year with the help of volunteers we did so much more. We did 96 visits, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic. The kind of years before we'd had 50, 40, 30. Last year we really made a big push to do lots and lots of outreach work, lots of sessions, and get volunteers involved. So the results have really paid off. But you can see by this breakdown on the right-hand side of regional societies, some of the societies, so London's at the top, we're doing loads of visits. And then you kind of get to North East and Scotland and we just don't do anything. So we're really, really keen to get lots of volunteers involved and members to talk about what they do, for some people to gain experience or for others to give back, as you were saying, something good to do. Absolutely, it counts towards corporate society responsibility. A lot of organisations give volunteer days, charity days, all that kind of things. It counts towards that.
Of those increased numbers, Sophie, you ended up doing quite a lot of visits for a lack of volunteers, yes? Although there's a kind of lot of demand and an increased number of visits, I'm a bit concerned that the kind of office is fulfilling a lot of those requests rather than the kind of volunteer member body, yes? So that's what we need to develop, yeah?
Yeah, and that's what...
So in London you have more volunteers available, yes? But in the North East and Scotland you have very few. What about the North West then, which is your Sellafield, yeah?
Very few as well.
So you know, it's in these kind of perhaps more less obvious areas that I think there's a lot of requests which need to be fulfilled. So if you guys are interested, that's great.
Yeah. I think for me it's...
Sorry, I'm Alice Nick, I'm the chair of the Education Committee, so I partly oversee what Sophie does.
Obviously schools are only open the days that they work.
That's right,
So
it's challenging.
It's just seeing.
Well, this year we've done quite a few, because this year is the first year that we recruited an OR apprentice.
Okay.
So I've done a lot of career events at schools and colleges.
You just didn't do them under OR such. Well,
We did it at Sellafield, but OR within Sellafield. But again, you know, some of this material might help.
Yeah, it
promote
would have
that,
helped
because
that day because
if you can convince a student to take an OR career, I think it's benefit to us and to you at the same time. So that's another
So
statistic.
you recruited an OR apprentice, but through the kind of government-funded apprenticeship scheme. Under what label did you do that? Because there's no OR apprenticeship at the
well,
moment.
it was a salary.
It's a Sellafield. So we have engineering apprentices
Right.
that we take every year, but this is the first year we've taken an OR apprentice only because we requested it.
But because we're interested in trying to develop an apprenticeship in OR with the Institute for Apprenticeships, yes. And one of the issues we have is we have to show we're different from existing apprenticeships. So there's one in systems engineering, for example, and there's one in data science at graduate level. So was your apprentice using...
If you want.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, sorry, can I pause you and ask you guys to take that offline? Just, I realise I'm on camera and all the rest of it, and we're whizzing through time, so I'll get this over with and then we can chat to the heart's content. Why would you do it? We support you. So we'll give you the support, we run training each month, we reimburse travel expenses. So where you've had to travel somewhere, we cover the postage for the Lego blocks, the material, everything like that. And we invite you to events every couple of years, along with a pro bono to celebrate. So the final slide. You don't just need to take my word for it. These are some of the lovely things the students and teachers have said. I think the bit that I like the most is the bottom left, and it's a year 8 student from Dedworth Middle. It was good and fun and made me realise about maths out of school. And that was, I had a couple of people doing a session yesterday, and that's the reason we do it, to spread kind of awareness and realise that there is more to maths than just the boring sitting down stuff you have to do in a class. And so our aim is to kind of get it out there even more, and hopefully with your help we can do that. Questions, comments, feedback?
I'm quite scared of children, you know what to do. How do you deal with, because you must get some unexpected things happening in the classroom, you know, like older 15, 16-year-olds, some that might not be interested in maths at all, and you come and talk about it. I'm not a teacher, so I wouldn't know how to handle it.
So I'm going to show you two things. So this is our OR in Schools feedback. Yesterday, Matthew Robinson, who's a volunteer for us, gave a talk. These are the things he learned. I kid you not, this was the first one, we all laughed about it. But he said, I work at IBM, I don't really do children, they're terrifying. And he said, actually, Sophie keeps pestering me to do all these events, and I email everybody in badgering run, and they're not that frightening. You will find a lot of them just want to know things. They've got lots of questions, they're excited, and they're generally always on best behaviour for visitors anyway. I think it's a case, what Matthew learnt about, that they do ask questions. Tell them about your job, they want to know more. You'll find they're really interested and they are engaged. We do require, from the OR Society perspective, we do require a teacher to be present at all times. So we do make that clear to the teachers when they're booking. You are not there to manage behaviour. You're not there to show them how it links into the curriculum. That's what we've done, that's what they're there to do. You're there as a professional and you're there as a knowledgeable expert to input. But you're not by any means expected to go and manage behaviour or anything. And generally the requests we get are from schools that we've either had visits from before or we know, and we're generally aware of the schools that we wouldn't send people to, shall we say. So we don't ever send people into horrible schools. If we get requests from slightly more challenging schools, so we had a request from a psychiatric hospital, students, myself and a colleague Charlie went. So we don't put volunteers in horrible situations.
You go yourself, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's always a teacher present, yeah?
Yep. Yep, so...
Do you require to have this DBS clearance?
No.
No.
So,
you would if there was no teacher present, but when a teacher is present, you don't need a thing.
So I have a DBS, and so does Charlie, and so we can be left alone with them, but even we don't we expect teachers to be present, purely because we are not teachers. It covers your back, it covers their back. It's just far easier if we make a blanket line that says teachers always need to be present. If you've got a DBS, that's great. And if you sign up as a STEM ambassador, they encourage you to get one, that's absolutely fine. But we don't make it a requirement because for some volunteers, like university careers fairs, you don't need a DBS. So. Any more questions? Cool. So what I would say, this is Alistair, who is chair of ERC. So I was saying we report to kind of a board above, which is Education and Research Committee. So we obviously fall under the education banner. So Alistair is kind of our link.
That's why I was interrupting Sophie so much.
It's okay. I'll let you. But yeah, I mean, we'd love to have you guys volunteering. We'd love to have you involved. I think I gave you 2 folders earlier, the blue folders. So that's got loads and loads of information in.
I was going to ask us if there's any information I can take away.
There's if you pop downstairs with me to the Great Hall, I can give you a blue folder and it's got absolutely everything in.
Take that to
Volunteer FAQs, leaflets and everything. Because I always find I quite like to take things away and then digest it in my own peace and quiet.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you very much.